Hello all, in this presentation we will be discussing about how to prepare a journal article from your thesis which is already completed. So this is your thesis which is already completed. Now how to make this thesis to this article, that is what we are going to discuss in this presentation. This entire slide will speak about the presentation. First of all, we have to understand whether it is thesis or journal article. The IMRAD style of scientific reporting is followed. That is, we will discuss about the scientific findings with introduction, methodology, results and discussion. In between we have objectives, review of literature and all. So this is followed in both your thesis and in journal article. The difference between a thesis and a journal article is for about 100 to 200 pages in a thesis, but in a journal article we have to condense it to 5 to 15. The audience is going to be very narrow, maybe your guide, your colleagues, your university people and so on. But for a journal article there is a wide audience everywhere in this online platforms. So now we have to understand the key differences between thesis and journal article. That is, in title, most of the times our thesis title will be a slight modification of our objective, but in a journal article you can use results and you can show your result as a title. That I will show how in the subsequent slides. Now the review of literature, which will occupy more than 1/3 of your thesis document, will be compressed into a paragraph in introduction and about a paragraph or so in discussion. That's all. So we have very less space for review of literature in journal article when compared to a thesis which was very elaborate. Then in methodology you might have got some 10 to 15 subheadings like study area, sample size, statistical methods, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria. All these have to be converted into paragraph in your journal article. Paragraphs, it should be converted into paragraphs, probably 2 to 3 paragraphs. Now we are moving on to the results. So results, we will be focusing on the individual parameter. So we might have spent about 20 to 30 tables or figures for describing the results, but for a journal article it is going to be a 5 to 15 page document. So we have to condense all your results into about 2 to 3 or maximum 5 tables or figures in the results. And all your thesis article will be having 100 references approximately, will be condensed to about 20 to 30 references in a thesis article. So this entire slide will describe about the process of how you are going to make the journal article from a already completed thesis. Now let us see about these topics individually. That is, the title. That we should keep in mind that title is your opportunity to attract the reader's attention. So after reading your title only, it should provoke the mind of the readers to read your article completely. So it is just a one-line description about the study. We have to use very specific words and apt words for our study. And we should think about one more thing, that in order to make our title appear in all the search engines, we should make certain key terms present in the title. As you have your objective in thesis as title, you can also have your result. So for example, in this case, moderate alcohol consumption lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes is a finding which can also be a title of the study, so which will make readers to read your complete article. Then moving on to the introduction, the ultimate purpose of introduction is to create the interest about the topic. You should define about the problem, what is the nature and magnitude of the problem. Then you should define about, this is the review of literature which is getting condensed into about a paragraph. Then where you will explain about the current knowledge of the disease and what are all the gaps in that current existing knowledge, and you should say in your study you are going to fill in this gap through your objectives. So it will end in the objectives, and you will mention or state your hypothesis clearly. So this is the sequence. You should create the interest, you should tell about the problem, and then what is the current knowledge about the problem, what are all the gaps in that current existing knowledge, and what are you going to do to fill in that gap in that knowledge. So that will end up in the need for the study or objectives of the study. So we should be clear with the hypothesis also. So now moving on, after mentioning the objectives, we should be clear about the materials and methods, where we have different checklists available for different different study designs. You can look at this equatornetwork.org, that is enhancing the quality and transparency of health research. So this site contains various tools. Here you can see all randomized control trial, for randomized control trial consort guidelines, observational studies strobe guidelines, systematic reviews prisma guidelines, case reports care guidelines, then diagnostic studies START guidelines or tripod guidelines. All these documents are available free. The most advantage of these documents is you can have a checklist approach, and you can use these documents, and you can check in your document whether the essential things which are required are present or not. So that is about materials and methodology. Then in results, we should be always focused on the answering our objectives. So there are two ways to represent our data, that is the descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. In descriptive statistics, you just describe. In inferential statistics, you infer something out of that data which is present using the statistical test. So for that you need to know apply the right statistical test. So all these things you should have done in your thesis. Now you have to recheck whether for the article it is correct or not. Then your figures as a general rule, both in thesis and in article, it should be self-explanatory. The slide should speak for itself. Then don't worry about significance. When you get a p-value greater than of 0.05, then you should not think that your game is over and you should try again like that. Even p-value when there is no significance, that is also a finding. So people can stop doing research in that particular topic and move on to next topic wherever significance is there. There is nothing harm in reporting a two-factor having no significance. And we should always keep in our mind that most dangerous of all falsehood is a slightly distorted truth. So then now in discussion we have to interpret that results, why we have got that results. Then we have to explain biologically why these results we have got in the study. Then we have to explain about the possible bias and confounders. Then we have to mention about the limitations. That is, before somebody picking our X, we humbly say that I am this study was not able to cover these aspects, so this was the limitation of the study. Then people appreciate before they finding it out. Then in discussion, most commonly what we used to do is we just gossip about the finding of the others. We just compare the already existing literature, and using this literature we just try to fit in our research into that scientific knowledge pool. And we will give some future directions also, what in that field of research is needed. When somebody quote your future direction and they make their introduction from your discussion, then that will be the best reward you can get out of a scientific article. So then now the references, as I said, the number will be from 100 to, it should be decreased to 25 to 30. Usually we will use journals, website, books. We should be aware about the styling of the references. Vancouver reference, this is the most commonly used reference in universities. This ICMJE reference is most commonly used by the journals nowadays. So if we are using any softwares like Zotero, EndNote or Mendeley, changing over to Vancouver and IJCME will not be a major defect. It is just a matter of a single click using that software. In my next presentation, you will be seeing how to use this Menly for referencing. You should be aware about the references. Then before submitting your article, you should be aware of two things. One is the plagiarism. In order to save your time, you can copy and paste, but what will happen is you will get caught out of plagiarism. Plagiarism is kidnapping somebody's idea. In Greek word it means kidnap, which means you steal somebody's ideas without their permissions. Use their own words instead of using your own words or your own ideas. So the penalties include expulsion from the academic institutions, heavy fines and jail time. So not only that, the journal will not remove the article which is plagiarized. So later if they found out that the article is plagiarized, then they will do this retracted, then they will display this retracted into the same article, but it will be available still in that journal. Then this is about plagiarism. The second thing which you should be aware is about the English grammar. People who are giving research in English are not having their own mother tongue as English, so their language proficiency will be limited. In that case, we should understand our weakness, and we can nowadays softwares like Grammarly and all is available, so you can incorporate that into your Word document, and you can check for grammar, spelling mistakes, punctuation marks, everything you can check. And one important thing is we have to use past tense for your study findings, present tense for the known facts and hypothesis. Then there are free spell checkers available online, so you can do that. You can copy your content here, and then you can click on this file. Then you can check for both Grammarly and plagiarism in a single click. For publishing the paper, I should make you convince why you have to publish a paper. So here is the answer. First of all, you have to exhibit your art. That is, after making a wonderful drawing, it is a sin to keep just in your table. You have to exhibit to others and get appreciation from others. For that, you need to publish the paper and make it online. Second is to improve your CV. So in research field, this is the primary level of achievement. So based on this only, we can be eligible to secure research grants. Then finally, your quality and quantity of the publications is going to differentiate among the researchers. Then now the most important thing is the promotion in the job. So you need two original articles published in indexed journals by MCA criteria to become associate professor, and from associate professor to professor also you need 2 papers. So, and moreover, it is the beauty of publication is your contribution to science will always remain in that. You just contribute a drop into the ocean of that science, and if somebody prove it wrong, it will get evaporated. If your science remains there, then the ocean will be filled by your contribution, and you can influence the policy makers, and you can be a change maker. Then nowadays even university mandate for the PGs to publish e-journal, so we need to publish our article. So you need not publish your primary objective and title as the thesis. So before appearing for exams, to be on the safer side, you can use your secondary objective and get the paper published. So always remember that the journal needs paper almost as much as the authors need journals. So as much as we need the journals, more than that, journal needs papers, research papers. But the editors want their journals to be read and their papers to be cited. That is, they want to maintain the quality of their products. So they need to reject and revise some papers. Here are some of the pro tips if you really want to publish a paper nicely. So first we have to write first, then we can edit it later. So something is always better than nothing. Then we have to tell a story. This will make the flow of the scientific article from the beginning to the end. So what you can do is you can make your relative or your family member sit behind you, and you can ask them to hear your research article, what you have done. So then you will understand where you are missing in that flow. So that is my second tip. The third tip is ask your colleagues or the experts to review. Don't hesitate to ask people, colleagues or experts to review. If they give really wonderful review, then you can offer authorship. In return, later they can also offer authorship. So that should happen for a better paper. Then don't make the data old and relevant. Don't keep on data in your own table without getting published, so which makes the data old and irrelevant to the scientific world. Then request for revision is always a good news. Never ever get worried with the revisions which appear. It is always a sign of getting published, but only after certain revisions. And always in research we should understand or take this pledge that fabrication, falsification or plagiarism in proposing, performing, reporting research results should be avoided. To summarize, this is my entire glimpse of the slide. So when you are going to convert a thesis article to a journal article, so you have to understand the fact that IMRAD style remains the same for both of this type of scientific reporting. Pages will be reduced, audience will be increased in journal article, references will be reduced, results size will be reduced, methodology, it was subheadings here converted into a paragraph. Then review of literature, which occupied almost 1/3 of your thesis, will be compressed into a few paragraphs. Then title, I hope this presentation was a useful one. So please give us comments, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.